Welcome back to the Spirit of Watercolor with Linda, and I would like to begin a new series of of painting demonstrations and things that you can follow along with, and they're easy and fun. So we're going toward an abstract series, okay? And I'm looking forward to this because we've done florals, we've done a lot of work with landscapes, and if you'll notice, a lot of my work, be it semi-realistic, I want to say, or tending towards realism, I also don't stick to that. I may take and create my own flowers or landscapes, and then there are times where we've done, like we just did a daffodil painting study where we push toward the realism, but still with simple watercolor brush techniques and strokes and so forth. And we've also done non-brush techniques as well. So please check out prior videos for different things you're interested in learning about, because I get into them, even though it's on YouTube. I've tended to take the time and try to, go through the processes, because learning watercolor is a process, and it's not something that you just bang get, but we can break it up into different techniques and so forth, and that's what I've been doing, just to keep you, focusing in on and then practicing certain things and gaining the repertoire of techniques, tips, and tricks that you need to create a beautiful watercolors. And this is a spiritual journey, I always say, and so I hope you'll keep joining me, and we'll continue to explore the beautiful, transparent, luminescent watercolors, my favorite medium. So welcome, keep coming back, please like and subscribe, and let's move into our abstract series. We're going to do something really fun. We're going to take a really nice piece of watercolor paper, and then we're going to get bold, and we're going to fold it in certain ways. Okay, so let me show you that at the table, and then we're going to, get some of our paints really on the palette and just start to apply them and pour them and see what the painting becomes. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I will see you at the table. So this is our paper, our Arches paper. I'm using a small sheet. We can take this to larger later, but I think it's best to start where it's not so large, and we can I haven't done this in quite a while. I've got my water gun. Like I said, we're going to fold the paper in random ways, and you can either wet it first. I tend to like to wet it first because I find that the paper can be more responsive and not the folds are a little more easy to create, let's just say, while it's wet. Now I want to grab just a clean paper towel, and I'm just going to kind of spread that water around a little bit here. I could do that with a brush as well. Either way is fine. So let's just hope my brush is totally clean, and then we'll just kind of come in there and spread that water around. Okay, and then we'll flip it over. We'll do the same thing. Okay, and now we're, thinking about how we want to fold this, and the folds are just going to create some hard edge lines to our abstract or non-representational painting. I call them abstract because oftentimes you find that it starts to become something, and then you want to just, create, like if it starts to look like nature or leaves or flowers or a landscape or a person or whatever it becomes looking like. Okay, then we we may want to go with that, and then it's an abstract. So if it's completely, okay, so, again, I'm just going to start to make some folds. You see what I'm doing? I'm not really, trying to make this anything that makes any real sense at this point, because this is going to be an abstract piece, okay? And you can make it symmetrical or not. I'm opting not to, but just getting some lines and folds in here, okay? that will create some interesting things. If it's going up, the paint may run this way. If it's, you know, if they're going down like rivers, you know, then you're going to get some interesting, and you can make as many lines or little as you want. And I highly urge people to try this, and it also takes away our fear of ruining paper, right? Because, you know, already you're kind of committed to something now, right? It's still a little dry on this edge. I want to wet that a little bit more, just because I feel like it's not wanting to respond the way I might want it to. And then it is pretty wet everywhere else. And then after we, you know, we can crumple it or fold it. This was an assignment I actually had in college, believe it or not. And, you know, I'm just kind of wondering, you know, what I'm going to get. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go in with our favorite colors, whatever you choose. I've got my crumpled paper there, and I'm actually redoing this because I did it one time and it was glorious until the colors decided to kind of go mud, and I thought, well, let's just try it again with more greens, of course, which I do want. And then I've got the crumples and the folds like I had before. I didn't tape it down this time. I kind of want to think about maybe moving things around and so forth too. And I think my colors got a little muddy because maybe the colors I used, I think I'm going to go with an analogous, you know, colors on the one side of the color wheel, which means, you know, we need to talk more about that, but the colors that, you know, if they're on the opposite of the color wheel, then they kind of cancel each other and they get toward a brown, you know, like red and green are opposites on the color wheel. But say if I take these yellows, okay, and I bring those in, they tend to more or less enhance each other and harmonize with each other. They don't go into that, and they could stay more vibrant. So that's kind of the goal here. And I wanted to talk, as we did this video, about what is the difference between the abstract art and the non-representational art, okay? And if you see here, I'm of course doing variegated wash. There's a whole video on that where colors just blend with each other, but they're also going into these cracks and crevices of the folds and the crumples. They're spattering, and I'm going to say that if I were to just go like this, okay, and I didn't create anything that looks like anything or try to make it look like anything, then it's going to be called non-representational. It means there's no subject per se. It's just color, maybe forms, lines, shapes, but we don't know what it is. That's non-representational. If I take this to what I call, maybe it turns into a landscape or a person you see in there, and you create it from there. Say I see a face in there, whatever. Then you know, begins to become a subject. Then it's an abstraction of the subject if it's not realistic. Okay, I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. Now I'm going to bring in some. Let's see, that's the opposite. So what's not opposite of this color? Well, I could probably go. I could go with some vibrant blues, maybe more of that beautiful green that I had originally on my palette. It's a deeper, I believe it's either, I think it's forest green, and I'm just going to pull that in. It's a much more deep green than that sap there.
Okay, so as you can see, I ended up putting the red paint in still. I guess I'm still moved to add the contrasting colors in, but letting the greens dry, then they stain and they hold onto the paper, and then you can start to add the bright, vivid reds. Later you'll see me add a coral as well. Also, it's good to turn your paper around in different directions and see how it's coming from all directions, because when we work non-representationally, we like to look around and see if we see any images in the painting as it's coming along.
So I'm going to clean up a little here and let that start to kind of do, and if something really moves you to do it, like move the painting or move the paper or let it run. It's just what happens sometimes is they're blending on their own and they may actually cancel out their vibrancy, and I don't want to do too much of that. There's some really nice stuff going on. The other thing you can do with this that's really fun is you can add those interference paints, which are on my other palette here, I think, which are the bright shimmery colored ones. See if I have some of that on the palette here still. And they really add some, oh yeah, we have some of those glorious things in there, and you can throw some of that in there too if you want to. Let's see. We have this green one, which was boy, I'm trying to think of the name of that. It's one of Daniel Smith's iridescent colors. I want to say jade, but it's not jade. It's topaz, I think it's called. I think it's called topaz. Yeah, that would be fun to throw in there a little bit of. So let's see if we can get that shimmer in there. Oh, that's nice, right? And it will show up more than you think later. Yeah, just it's a lovely green color. Just bring that in a little, and around here. Yeah, that's a nice color too. And then I have the mauve, which is right here, sort of a purpley interference color, which will show up more in the deep colors than it will. Always clean out your water tub after using these, because they really stay in the water and they may end up in parts of a painting you didn't want them in. Okay, so, but yeah, I'm just bringing some of that into the rich, that purple. See where it ends up. Okay, and we have some other ones here too. There's a beautiful purple here. I'm not sure if that's the same color. Oh, and there's the Autumn Mystery. That's another really fun one. They would actually really probably help this painting out a bit, because they add some real shimmer and shine, and but it's subtle. Where'd the Autumn Mystery go? Here it is. Okay, that one. Let's see what happens when we throw some dip. We're spattering some of these in, and sometimes it just turns into spatter in places, but it'll also blend out into the. Yeah, I'll do a little bit more. I like those. I wanted to get these out again for a while, but I haven't, so now I have. So yeah, I can see those in there. I don't know. I'll bring that up closer so you can see some of what's happening. This one's a good size. Just something to kind of show you that you can kind of come up with something pretty fun, nice and cleaned up in a mat. My handwriting was messed up on that, so, but it's a nice mat otherwise, but the print got mixed, my name got messed up. But yeah, you just kind of decide, where you want this painting to kind of go. And you kind of look in there for things that you might recognize, like I said, in there. It could be rocks, trees, landscape. You might find an insect. I have one painting that I did that kind of it looks like an insect in it. I can show you that. Here's one that I did very similarly, but it's framed up. And this one has what I call grasshopper in there, if you see the black eye. But it's very, very abstract, or almost non-representational. I created more grasses down in there, if you can hopefully see this here. Get the light right here. And yeah, there. And try to get that in there. And then you can frame it real nice with a big frame, like I did. Lots of shimmer. It makes me want to put a whole lot more interference paint in this. And maybe some of that black. That's the lunar black, to define some things. And some grasses down in there. As it's drying, you can bring stuff in. That's kind of what I was trying to show you, where we could go with that. Okay. So why don't I do that? I'll splatter a little bit of black in there now and see what we might get. I may need to do a lot more of that interference color like that. I had a ton of interference copper in there, I believe. Yeah, so anyway, we're starting to see where something like this might go. I'll get a smaller brush for that. Not super small, but painted round.
This is where we get daring and we have fun and we play and just, you know, you have to think about what you're doing, but you can get in there and just get a bit spontaneous.
I'm just putting in a whole lot of salt right now, okay, just because I want more textures, especially where these really wet areas are, and it'll hold that color so it won't just be wet and runny and maybe just blooms, but it'll catch a lot of that. I'm just getting real happy with my salt world here. I haven't done that in a while. Now I want to show you these colors that I'm going to use in there. And I can glaze those in even over afterwards or as I'm going along. But the colors that are very exciting to add are the iridescent and there's an interference, which is, you won't really see it so much. It shows up more in the dark colors, which are kind of happening in those creases now. And then we have this one I forgot about, I'm excited about, is I think that is that duochrome or yeah, aquamarine, and then there's the iridescent topaz, and so they're all different ones of the luminescent watercolors by Daniel Smith. I'll get a close-up on those for you, and we'll put those in and about. Right now I'm letting the salt do its thing, and I think I want this to dry, and then I may come in with splashes of these incredible colors over top, sort of glazing over top. Now I'm getting a little more daring, and I found this beautiful quinacridone coral. Woo! That's gorgeous. And I'm going to throw that on in here as well, just kind of because some of these greens did get kind of, I don't know, I think they're needing some, and I just feel like all the red's on the outside and not on the inside, so I'm going to add some more in there, and hopefully it won't. Sometimes you just want to try like a color theme, where it's mainly greens and red oranges and things in this one. Okay. I'm going to leave it for the night. I'm going to see what happens by morning now. One thing when you're having fun, you just keep on going and you can't stop. So, okay, I took it's a white watercolor in the jar, this one here, and I just spattered and dripped that all in as well, and it may just blend out, but I thought it would lighten and brighten a little bit too. Yeah, okay, I like it now. Let's see, it'll be a totally surprise in the morning. I like doing these and then waking up in the morning and going, what did I create? Now that it's dry. See you in the morning.